what should be core Pango in this situation as well, because between the two of them, I'm pretty damn sure Dismar would take the Tiny at the 4. Generally gives him more to work with, which means they should be a Pango that's going to have a little bit more emphasis on damage. Although we said the same thing for Kits on the Pango the last time around. It didn't really work out that way, but different team, different circumstances.
Yeah, and just a nice hero for catching the Naga Siren. Of course, you can't always song away. You always have to be very careful if you do get stuck a little bit too far out from the base. Pango versus Batrider, no, that's a different case. I feel like that's a lane that can really go bad for Pango really quickly if you aren't too cautious. It's where whenever you do end up fighting for those runes, if the Batrider has too many stacks on you, he can just kind of walk you down, and then there's not much you can do. It's a lane that I think was a lot closer whenever you were getting a full bottle refill from the water runes, but then whenever they ticked it down, the Batrider got more and more advantageous in that matchup. I think Kit is going to be pretty happy with his lane, but now it's just a matter, I think, for 5RAT, how they round things out. I think they still need a speed hero. If they don't need a speed hero, then they just put him on the Primal Beast, and then they look for something down the line for Merlin, but conventional drafting just says no. They need
Right.
another offlaner. They need somebody to play with the Batrider. If your Naga Siren's going to be this much slower paced hero, and I think it is going to be a pretty successful Naga lane. I don't know. I don't really think really Visage Tiny can do much versus the Naga. It's just where the Visage is just going to kind of have to sit there and hope you Soul Assumption the right target, and Tiny can never toss back. So that feels pretty nice. But that's where I think for speed, you want someone that just can go in plain and simple. Clockwork is not the hero I was expecting for him.
Hmm. Well, Fans do appear to be looking at this as 5RAT will be looking for a support with their final pick. As you said, conventional drafting wisdom just kind of shuns that a little bit, but we'll see if Raven's hunch is correct. Meanwhile, for the 5RAT side, they'd already taken out so many carry options between the two squads, so the Luna and the Pudge being taken away, both solid choices. I suppose, technically speaking, it leaves a hyper carry for Ravens if they wanted to try and go toe-to-toe like that. TB and, I guess, PL still in the pool, but ET, that's not really the direction they looked to go in with Dodd in the first game. It kind of feels like they would want something more up-tempo for this game as well.
Yeah, and I think now that we're in the bans, and I do like the Pudge ban a lot. I think that's pretty sick here. I feel like very simply, can't Speed just play Enigma in this situation? You get the Black Hole versus
Yeah.
Pango. Of course, you have to play versus Oracle and the Bird stuns, but at the same time, you also have Naga Siren setting up for you, and you've got a Primal Beast forward that will just stand in front. It's where I think if 5RAT don't end up going for that hero, it's because they're maybe a little bit afraid of just Ravens having that immediate counter pick, but at the same time, I feel like it's free, but they don't go for it. They go for a Mirana instead. I think that's got to be Merlin's hero now, but I don't know. I feel like this is a little bit strange. I feel like that would have been just a free option for them, but instead, I guess they want the strength of that speed Primal Beast, and then just having the Mirana to, again, set up with the Naga Siren. It does keep your plays maybe a little bit easier to be made. Makes the lane a lot easier as well, but I don't know. I don't know if I like it. And now Dodd, he gets to see everything. He gets to see the full draft before choosing his hero.
The Mirana certainly has a hell of a lot of setup from the rest of the lineup, but it feels like you have traded some of those combos, some of that lockdown at the expense of damage. We'll see what speed does, how he itemizes, how he plays on the core Primal Beast, but if the Primal Beast had been a 4 and they had taken another offlaner, I feel like they could have had more threat than what they have right now. But said we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, Ravens go for the position 1 Dawnbreaker at the end of their draft, so certainly not a hero that's going to get really bullied around all that much, ET, but the scaling compared to a Naga is where we maybe ask some questions.
Yeah, and honestly, this is something that Dad's done before, and I was trying to think of other carries that have been pretty popular in the patch, but none of them do, I think, feel quite as nice as his Dawnbreaker. It's just going to allow him to kill pretty much anyone he wants. The Ag Shard as well is just fearsome in this game. None of the supports can do anything versus you once you get that. It's in the same breath. Speed also is not going to be very capable at really dealing and shutting down this Dawnbreaker. And there you go. If you didn't have save before, Ravens now, anytime that lasso goes down, you're going to immediately get Dawnbreaker ulted. You're going to have the Oracle TPing in. And if you're not extremely careful on kits, you're probably just going to be in a 4v1 situation where you're probably just going to get taken down.
Mm-hmm. It's going to get interesting in this one, and to be honest, I'm very much interested to see what Speed does with the Primal Beast, but overall, this still just feels like a situation where Ravens have fewer moving parts, have something that's kind of simpler to execute compared to their opponents.
No, yeah, for sure. And not to mention that they also have the Pango Dawnbreaker combo where anytime that roll it successfully lands, especially onto DNM, well, the Dawnbreaker comes through. It's just that easy of a combo. And then suddenly your Naga Siren is going to be in a whole hell of a lot of trouble. It's where I think that level of execution for 5RAT has to be just so high. They really have to raise the bar here with their draft. And I think Merlin's got to kind of prove himself here on the Mirana because, again, I felt like they had options and I don't know if this was necessarily the right choice. Even though Ravens was also banning out Forest, so maybe they know something I don't.
Yeah, they might have had an inkling of what their opponents were trying to do there, and I don't know. Considering Speed was doing the drafting for them, it kind of makes you wonder who was the one to make that call, right? The 3 Primal Beast into the Mirana pick, but in the end, regardless of whose decision it was, the decision was made. Gonna have to... I was gonna say deal with the consequences. That sounds kind of a little bit too down on them already, but they have to adjust the strategy now to account for it.
Oh, little dour, but you know, it could be worse. Could be worse. And at the end of the day, right, they just have another thing to play with that Naga Siren ulti. Gotta see them do it though. You know, of course, you'd hope. You know, they're pros. They should be able to make those combos land, but that's where in the heat of the moment, I think anything goes. And this will be a little bit of a difficult game. I think a much more difficult game for DNM than he might like. The one thing he does have going for him, though, is just the laning stage. Naga Siren's an incredibly annoying hero. The 4 position is basically just helpless. You just hound your illusions onto that Tiny, and then he just runs around and kind of tanks them or pulls them under tower. It's where you basically end up in a 2v1 situation. One of the most obnoxious heroes to lane against in the game, I think, by far.
It's not exactly a fun time. In the meantime, Dot's just having a little one-man dance party. Fair enough. All right, you know. Dancing with himself. Somebody cue up Billy Idol. Half the audience doesn't know what I'm referring to, so I'm just going to stop that reference right there, ET. And we're... oh, too young to know that, but Bounty Runes are coming up. Let's see. 2-2 split. Nothing too serious. A little bit of fighting from Dismar and AB1, though, but... yeah, that's always the problem, right? You get the dual breath down, you're thinking, hey, I'm doing some damage, and then that's it. You don't right-click really for much of anything, but a trade between supports in the lane, it's really not going to matter, especially not for Dismar. Look at all the tangos that he has in this lane, so he's just going to walk that damage off.
Yeah, no, he doesn't mind, and we'll have to see. Very typical. You just get the tree grab level 1 now. We're in that stage of Tiny where you just sit there, you get 22 damage. It just makes it so much easier to trade, and well, Dual Breath does land, but AB1, yeah, I think this is the exact same start as how the previous lane went.
God. And I mean, he has to know it's coming too, so he just realizes how difficult this lane is going to be for him, but he's got to try and do something, right? DNM, much like the Faceless Void the last time around, needs a lot of farm, but the earlier you can start that, the better if you're going to be as Kara. He's not doing too hot there. Speed just gets right up in his face, and that wasn't even Trample, that's Uproar at level 1, but did they actually get the arrow combo there? I think that's what started it off, so that does a lot of the heavy lifting, and 5RAT are on the board first.
Yeah, and of course, you do a lot of physical damage, and I think it was just simply getting the trade going along with him and Dad, and then you get 2 or 3 stacks of Uproar, and then suddenly you're hitting for 100, and that's not something that any hero can really stand up to. And we'll have to see, because now you're going to level 2 a little bit faster on Speed and Merlin, which means that Kara's not going to have that Fate's Edict. You could see them go for some crazy play pretty soon.
Gonna have to try for it quickly, though, because he is approaching level 2. Well, not faster than anyone else. Okay, they do make the play in. Dodd, this is all he can do. He's trying. He's got Starbreaker, so maybe he could trade for Merlin. No, he can't. The leap comes in. Merlin's just fine. I don't actually know if that uproar was necessary. The fight was kind of over, but oh well. Just make sure Dodd doesn't chase. That's 2 kills now in the exact same fashion, and now the Oracle's... uh-oh, hold on. Now he's level 2 ET, but he didn't actually put the point in the Edict.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to play what is that power spike on Oracle that everybody knows, where you just hit level 3 and you've got 2 points up in the Purifying Flames, but there's also no Oracle in this game right now.
Dodd?
A lot of damage, yeah.
Merlin just do this with right clicks? He's
This
trying.
is sad. He's got one more A click on him, but okay, he's gonna give it up. Still, though, with how far that lane pushed forward, the creeps actually just re-aggroed onto Speed's other creeps. So the lane is not pushed forward in the slightest. Now Speed can just static it here. And with Boots of Speed, unless you get a small camp pull going for you, there's just no easy reset for the Raven side.
That lane is not looking hot. Meanwhile, up top, supports are trading damage, but it's Benjaz who's the heavy hitter here. Double Soul Assumption on to the Jakiro, gets Ravens on the board. Dismar, I don't know if you want to walk into those. Those still hurt. The illusion's kind of hitting him up, but he's okay. Walks away, gets the sentry down, gets a little bit of dewarding in. His regen is not in a great spot, however, so as AB1 returns to the lane, Dismar does back away. But at the end of the day, the Visage lane is starting to do what we've been expecting it to do in these matches.
Yeah, and of course, DNM's untouchable. He hasn't been touched. Does not care. He'll just keep on doing this. And that's going to be a lot of damage traded out. The Soul Assumption. And just kind of, yeah, lets the send it. But at the same time, as long as DNM hits his level 5 pretty quickly, then he can just start to rotate out. Even though, yeah, Soul Assumption spam, it's a hell of a thing. And yeah, finally DNM is going to have that raindrop coming out. But it's a little bit late. He's already kind of been set very low here.
Benjaz, oh, okay, never mind. I was going to say he didn't have much mana left, but he did pop the Clarity. It's canceled pretty quickly, but he has enough for one Soul Assumption here. DNM, however, not going to take that bait. He's playing it back, knows if he goes too far forward, the combo can still bring him down, so he's going to play it carefully, although Dismar, DOT, ticking away, not enough for the kill, but got everyone in this lane who isn't DNM is very much willing to play on low HP.
Yeah, and they don't want to get baited there. They see the Force Stick. They know he's got at least one spell. The Tiny is deceptively weak, but this is also where I think Dismar walks back to base, gives this XP over to Benjaz, and then we'll see the Tiny in a little bit here. Probably fill up his mid-Pango's bottle, something like that. But the aggression just keeps going across the map here. Because Dad, I mean, look at him. He's super low yet again.
Weren't quite able to finish him, but they keep on poking. Yeah, he's gonna try to make the heal play happen. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's bold. Very, very bold, gentlemen. They are trying to heal him up in the middle of the lane. Merlin's one random arrow away from maybe just getting a free kill there, but they don't actually get caught. It all pays off for them, especially considering the fact that the Dawnbreaker has 0 regen. Is there anything coming out to him? Oh, that's his boots on the courier, so he's actually playing pretty dangerously, and now he'll be punished for it. Speed, onslaught into trample, easy kill. Kara now in trouble as well, as they'll make it 2. He at least gets Merlin before he dies, so they don't come away completely empty-handed, but ET, I was asking in the draft, you know, how is Speed going to play Core Primal Beast? The answer is aggressive as all hell.
I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. The wave, again, he doesn't end up taking anything with that trample, so we're just pushed so far up. 37 and 17 to 12 and 0. Dodd's getting rocked right now. And of course, we know what Primal Beast can do with just a little bit of that level advantage. He's got level 3 trample, and
oh
yeah,
my God.
Here we go.
Dodd has nothing. He used his abilities to get into the fight, so he's dead again.
This is just a huge misplay from the Dawnbreaker. It just feels like they've kind of given away a lot of that agency. And again, I feel like maybe this is just because you've got that little bit of inexperience. But if Kara was 1-1-1 right now, none of this would happen. The Fate's Edict would be traded every single time that trample goes down. And sure, you get a little bit of trample damage, but I also feel like in that situation, Speed just walks away and gives up on his own play. But now, Raven's doing the walk of shame back to base, and when he arrives back in that lane, you're gonna have a level 7 Primal Beast. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Just check, because I'm not that good. I don't have timings memorized, but yeah, the Fate's Edict, it's got a lower cooldown than the trample even, so there is no scenario, if you're just holding it for that, where you would not have it as Nyango Flow. Well, this is awkward. Can he get the angle? Yes, he can. Okay. But now do they have the damage? Naga Siren has some help. AB1 trying to come in, but there's really not too much he can do. He has no point in the ice path, so he just has to try for the body blocks, and that worked.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like if Benja is just a little bit up closer than all it took was this soul assumption, then he probably goes down, but he had a full wave under tower that he was not giving up, and Ningoflo is sticking around for the stack. Unfortunately, they don't know that DNM actually just stuck it out and is just healing underneath the tower, but with all the mana spent, I feel like we are just going to see that reset, even though AB1 might be super dead.
DNM sends in illusions. That doesn't really do too much good, but...
Oh, but Kits.
Yeah, Kits has rotated up. They would love to make a trade here, but that's just not damage that's coming in fast enough. There we go. Flame Break does make it happen, and actually DNM's the one to get the kill. I think one of his illusions was still in there at the very last second, so all of a sudden things look quite a bit better for that Naga Siren. It doesn't look too good down bot, though, as Dot is dead again. Are you serious? Speed. You can't do that. This is not a pub, dude. You can't get away with that. How?
And he's just gonna walk back to the base. I mean, nobody's coming here. They spent so much time. It's where I thought that we would have needed to see Nengoflo show up, just maybe in response, but no. He gets away with murder. They try for it. He doesn't even have raindrops on speed. It's just, I'm a 1600 hero, 1600 health hero at 8 minutes into the game. About to be level 8 as well. I mean, there's no reason for speed to stop at this point. And look at it. I feel like he's the entire net worth lead right now. He has 5,000 net worth 9 minutes into this game. I feel like he is the entire net worth lead.
God, he's just so massive. And if there was ever a play to sort of break your spirits on Ravens, that was it. He had like 15 health and just couldn't finish him off. I mean, he tried right on Kara. The Purifying Flames came out. It's actually part of the reason why he was healing up at the end of that fight, but they just can't do it. They're going to try. No, they're not. Thought for a moment that Ningoflo would go in, but I think they realize that there's other heroes coming as that arrow doesn't connect, but Dismar's still kind of stuck. The creep wave really traps him in there. He's not dead yet, but it's only a matter of time. Dismar taken down. Here comes Speed, and with the trample, Kara will fall, and Ningoflo loses his backup, loses the fight, and just has to get away with the last few seconds of his ult.
Yeah, and Speed, not the most impactful. Still gets a free kill, you know. Keeps the pain going for that Oracle, but a little bit of space for Dad, and now he has his ulti if he wants it, but
Overrise to start.
Do the walk.
He's gonna try to create some space. Here's the onslaught, though. It connects. Odd. Able to get away, so Speed can't finish him off this time, but just no space, no room to breathe for this Dawnbreaker. His farm is not looking hot. You look at his net worth. I was going to say Merlin is catching up. It's 600 net worth at the 10-minute mark, so not quite. Uh-oh. Not quite, but he's in trouble, especially if that onslaught hits. He's dropped. Oh, Speed. I am learning all sorts of new things about just how just how strong he can be on the Primal Beast as Kara gets locked. Merlin is a sniper from long range. This is getting out of hand, ET. 5k net worth deficit for Ravens, and I mean, the Visage lane did what we thought it would do, but I don't think that matters anymore.
Yeah, no, because now DNM gets to retreat, and okay, the Dawnbreaker is given up. He is TPing top. He is not going to go back bottom for death, and he's finally kind of gotten sick of it. Oh my goodness. The Oracle also has 6 stats. This is just the lane that keeps on giving, and really, in doing so and having those small skirmishes in the mid lane, trying to get pressure onto Kits, dragging the Tiny out of top, sure, you give that soul XP over to your Visage to get his level 6, so you have the familiars on board, but I feel like then you just killed any pressure on DNM, because he can just go back to the jungle. He is as fast as he's going to farm the jungle with his current skill build. He's 404. Now he's just going to look for the Mansion, and he's going to be completely fine. I don't know what the comeback is. It is going to be some combination of Nengoflo getting on top of heroes, and then you just Dawnbreaker ulti in, but the rest of the lineup needs a lot of time, especially if you're going to have to rely on Dismar to get his Blink Dagger. I mean, this is easily going to be a 16, 17-minute blink, all time that you're probably going to finish a BKB up on both your Bat Rider and your Primal Beast, and then who's your target on Ravens? It's where I think they were really banking on winning their lanes just a little bit more than what ended up playing out.
In the case of the Dawnbreaker, they were hoping to just win the lane at all instead of whatever it is we're looking at here. He's actually queued up a Midas. He's queued up several things, so who knows if he actually goes through with a Midas purchase. But the fact that it's in the quick buy ET is already kind of telling.
Yeah, and it's not a good sign. We talk about Faceless Void Midas, you know, we talk about I want to say PL Midas. We talk about sometimes even Spectre Midas, but rarely do we talk about the Dawnbreaker Midas being your end all be all to win a Dota 2 game here. But that is just the desperation that Dad is feeling. And well, they went
Oh,
for the toss back, but after the pause, he kind of forgot what he was doing. And now, very awkward.
can they actually punish, though? Arrow. Oh, the arrow hit. Dodd gets stunned up. In some trouble. Kits is coming in. Kits is looking for the lasso. He's got it. They lock down Dodd. They'll take him out. Yengo Flow, though, coming in with the Rolling Thunder, but here comes Speed. Trample is active. He is just going to run through these heroes. Benja's dead already. Dismar goes down as well. They were not ready for the reinforcements. And honestly, if that toss play gets off, they find the kill, they fall back, and everything's fine. It's just he wasn't quite on point with it, and it turns into a disastrous fight.
Yeah, and you do take Primal Beast out of his job. He has to make this really ugly walk all the way back to bottom to get that tier 1, but at the same time, unless you immediately bring heroes back, there's not that much you can do. Not to mention, the Dawnbreaker actually ended up eating the tome, so now Kara needs to find his own XP in these super dangerous lanes just to make sure anything happens. And 5RAT, they're just keep it going. They've got the words on the vision here. Speed is just continuously running at his opponents. And there's not much they can do to stop him.
Yeah, he just kind of has a free pass for several minutes to come at this point. But, well, if you're Ravens, they don't have any play I feel like they can make right now, right? We were talking in the draft about, you know, Rolling Thunder into Solar Guardian, but neither of these cores have enough damage where I think you feel confident going after anyone of value even with that combo.
Yeah, and this is where it really is just one super one lane compared to the rest, and oh no! It's happening again!
Dodd. Pulverize is there. Kara trying to help out, and it might be enough. I think it will be enough. He's going to go after the easier kill, but the Onslaught's coming back up. Dive. No, he doesn't. But if Dodd shows again, this is where things get kind of awkward. Lynn's here
Instead, they
as
go for
well.
top play.
Okay. Play up top. Song deployed. Here comes Speed with the TP. Macro Pyre down. Ice Path well placed into the Onslaught as Benjaz will fall. Yengo Flow. I think we just traveled back in time, ET, because that's the same Rolling Thunder in the same place with the same 0 effect. As he just has to run it away, and now Dodd's getting actually pressured up. Merlin, there is absolutely no way. If he hits the arrow here, he's got the kill, but...
I mean, Dodd also just can't go anywhere,
Uh-oh.
and he's dead.
Ooh. Yeah, if you're losing a 1v1 to the opposing team's position 4, it might be time to sort of slam that emergency button.
Yeah, and then even back top, they're going to force the Pengu to walk all the way back to base. It's just a very simple play, but that's Manta done on DNM, if I do say so myself.
Oh my God.
I think it's coming on the courier. There's your 14-minute Manta, your what feels like it's going to be a 14-minute BKB on your Primal Beast. And DNM, he's a little bit far up in the lane here, but the Ice Path, is he able to walk this one out?
M's falling back. Toss play is there, though, so Benjaz is still going to be able to track it down. But now here comes the response. They need to back away. Oh, okay. TP actually canceled, and that means AB1 is kind of by himself here, but look at Speed.
Comes the Beast.
Onslaught, onto Yengo Flow, hits him up, trample there, first kill secured, looking for more.
Well,
Dodd's dead, Dismar's trapped, that toss play is interesting, I don't know if it's useful. Yeah, there's going to be the Pulverize to lock him down, Dismar will fall, Kit's now coming in, looking for the DOT onto Benjaz, this fight has completely turned on its head, and Kara just actually ulted himself. So Benjaz has 0 backup. He will fall. Kara's taking enough DOT where he's still going to die even after the false promise. And that's a 5-man wipe just shy of the 15-minute mark, ET. 23-4. If there's a way out here for Ravens, I do not see it.
Yep. Clean up all the birds as well. And of course, at the beginning, you did lose the Naga, but then Naga gets to go back home, gets a tier 1 tower, gets to play on the side of the map that he's been wanting to play on the entire game, and there's your BKB on the Primal Beast. He didn't even need it before, but now, if you were helpless to him before, well, now you just have to take your hands off the keyboard whenever he wants you dead. There's nothing you can do right now. Ravens are so weak to BKBs, it's where you have to say, oh, well, we need physical damage to kill this Primal now. Where's our Deso on Dawnbreaker? Uh-oh. and you're like, oh no, there's no way we're getting any items on Dad, at least for the foreseeable future. He needs
And there's
a
another
team
drop.
fight to bounce back. But yeah, no. There you go. Dead.
AB1 gets the kill there, so Speed is denied what would have been his 15th kill, so has to settle for a measly 14-0 stat line, 16 minutes in. But I mean, we joke, ET, but realistically, if you're Ravens, what is the game plan? Because if you're trying to stall the game out at this point, it's going to come presumably at the cost of a lot of map control and a lot of these objectives for them. Can they afford to make that sacrifice?
I really kind of don't think so, because there is a Naga on the other side, a Naga that is not going to be pursued. And again, unless you're snowballing on this Dawnbreaker, you need this Deso. You need this Deso yesterday. And until you get it, every team fight needs to kind of be successful going forward here. At least Nengo Flow is doing pretty all right. He's the top net worth on his team. He just got a Diffusal Blade. He's got something to play for. I think, honestly, along his level 12 timing, level 2 Rolling Thunder with the Wraith Pact is probably going to be their next moment to make a play. But Ravens also need to keep on doing crazy stuff. They need to somehow find Primal and then get him to be on one side of the map, but it's just crazy.
Dude.
This hero's wild.
He's got the rock through. He just casually tosses the rock across the river, stuns up the Pango, and then walks away. Doesn't even want to follow it up. Just says, hey, I know you're there. Have a rock. I'll see you later.
Well, that's the thing, because if you're not careful,
Uh-oh.
you can just get killed. And okay, he's going to get slammed into arrow.
The rock was a warning shot, and Yengo Flow did not heed that warning. Picked off again. I don't know. If you're Ravens, they got to try and do something, but the BKBs aren't coming. The Blink Dagger on Dismar is still, at this point, really a pipe dream. He's about 1,000 gold away from it, and Speed doesn't care. He just keeps going in. He's going to miss with the Onslaught, but they got him onto the high ground, so... Okay. Not going to go any further than that. He honestly could have, right? He's got ult. He's got 9 seconds on the BKB. He had kits coming up for backup, but now is, I think, where we start to see that focus shift. They've got 25 kills in 18 minutes. Speed is massive, but let's start getting these objectives. Let's shrink the map. Let's take away farm space for the likes of the Dawnbreaker and the Pango, and then at that point, Ravens really just don't have any options left.
Yeah, and it is that closing of the map that you have to be incredibly scared of. As Speed just, casually farms every single camp, and they are getting dewarded. Sentry was placed. AB1 shouldn't know what's going on here. I think both teams are very aware of the positioning of their opponents right now. And there are a few things to look forward to. I feel bad for Dismar. We thought it was going to be a 17-minute Blink Dagger. It looks like it's going to be a 22, 23-minute Blink, but eventually the Tiny will be able to make plays alongside the rest of his teammates. They're very small item timings coming out from Ravens. They're nothing as big as the BKBs that 5RAT have in their own hands, but at the same time, you got to look for any power spike. As Speed is going in, does cancel though, gets scared.
You maybe caught vision of just how many heroes were up there, and at this point, if you die, you are given over a pretty substantial amount of gold. Not enough to change the 14k deficit that Ravens are sort of looking at right now, but there's a difference between confidence and maybe being overly ambitious, and Speed right now towing that line. But comes the Moonlight Shadow. Sneak their way in. There's a sentry there, so this isn't really as sneaky as they think it is, and can they be punished, though? Rolling Thunder canceled out by the lasso. Speed gets off the Pulverize, so these heroes just aren't really as cohesive as they would like to be. Dodd did come in with the Solar Guardian as this fight is breaking up, but they're starting to do some damage. AB1 gets taken down. Speed, BKB, running low on time, but his teammates are regrouping around DNM, but at this point, they're starting to lose pretty significantly here. DNM has to pop the ult defensively. And Speed in the corner looked like he was thinking about a reinitiation ET, but once he realizes how low DNM is and the fact that his teammates had already died, they do just back away. So chaos in that fight for sure, but technically speaking, Ravens win.
Yeah, and very simple mistakes on the 5RATFORCESTAFF side. They go for one target, which means he gets saved by the Oracle. They don't find the Oracle first, even though the Oracle had to be up pretty far in the lane to make that happen. And they're not done yet, though. There is a very scary dinosaur running right back into the fight, but
Dismar taken down first as he was still stuck under the tower. Speed wants to push in, but the Familiars really locking him down. He's going to try and take out the, there we go, the Wraith Pact. So a little bit of money there. Familiars taken down as well.
And that hurts for Benjaz. That's new birds. He has no birds for 2 minutes. He is not Visage anymore.
Yeah, this is kind of awkward. Now he just gets to sit here and wait. And honestly, between the Wraith Pact kill and the 2 Familiars, not only does it make Benjaz kind of useless right now, that's about as much gold as you would have gotten for picking off one of these supports anyway. So 5RAT to just keep the pressure on. Now they're starting to rotate over, but they need to do some dewarding because this maneuver has been spotted out the whole way through, and see Benjaz already just sort of playing back.
Yeah, and 5RAT, even though they do have this pretty nifty lead, and they still have to be decently careful here. Unfortunately, this smoke looks like it is just going to get scouted out by the dinosaur, and there's a full Scotty on DNM.
Trying to force the fight. They don't have Song for 10 seconds, though. They might have overextended a little bit. Naga Siren getting hit up. Moonlight Shadow comes in. Do they have detection? They will throw down a sentry. DNM, he's still not going down quickly. They'll finally finish him off. The problem is, over to the side, Speed and Kits just completely isolated the Dawnbreaker. But at this point, ET, you need money. You need anything. Dodd dies. That is unfortunate, but you have to get these kills, and they at least find one.
Yeah, and really at the end of the day, it's only unfortunate for Dodd because everybody else on his team gets a little bit more gold. They're still playing really nicely around this Wraith Pact, which is becoming quite problematic for 5RAT, and that's where not having a BKB carry really does make it a lot more difficult to play the Naga Siren, but also just smoking up and making a play with your Blink Dagger on Dismar is where 5RAT, they can't afford to make really too many mistakes here. They still have a very sizable lead, but it is just kind of ballooning at the high end, and that's where as the Raven cores start to catch up more and more, the game will feel even more even. Because right now, even though you only have 4,000 net worth split between both your Oracle and your Tiny, you have a Blink Dagger. Your Tiny is infinitely useful now. And the rest of the lineup just kind of feels like empty net worth.
Oh,
Gotta
he
be careful
missed.
here.
Merlin mistimes it. He gets the Yules first into the arrow, but he was a little bit too close. Timing's off. Nyengo Flow, he did use the curl up, or the roll up just in case. Didn't really need it, but now they're looking for a fight. AB1 gets caught. He dies in midair. That did not look normal, but Ravens find another pick, and yeah, I mean, to the extent of what you were saying, I'm sure there's some people in chat who are sort of thinking, you know, what are these guys talking about? It's 13k. They've got a third the kills of their opponents, but at this point, if 5RAT had continued on the trajectory that they had started on, they'd be knocking on the door of high ground right now. Instead, they're starting to slow down, and if you're Ravens, all you're looking for right now, ET, is to not be dead yet. Every second that you're still alive pushes towards a potential comeback.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, net worth aside, it's where you look at your actual heroes, you look at your actual team fight, and we talk about that ease of execution that Ravens do have. Their lineup just functions. They make things happen, and you have to react to that. Where 5RAT, they need setup. They need to get everything. And there is a Lasso bottom trying to get this solo kill onto the Pangolier. And it looks like he will be able to purge that off. He needs to get the swash, but no, it's not deep enough.
He's trying for the TP anyway. That's optimistic, let's call it. But just wanted to see if he could make it out. They have enough damage, though, for the pickoff, so Yengo Flow dead for about 40 seconds while Speed is doing a little bit of scouting. Now he wants to fight. Onslaught in onto Kara. They would love to force him to ult himself. Not sure he's even going to do it. He might just accept the death right now. Well, now he doesn't have a choice. Pulverize locks him down. He's still not dying, though. He is buying a lot of time, but time for what? Because Dodd just got solo killed up top. DNM didn't even have to catch him with the song. He just gets him with some damage, and then the the ensnare into the damage from the mirror image is just too much to handle, and
yeah, it's just Net and Scotty. I mean,
1 in 10. Ooh.
Yeah, it's been a real rough game. Did just finish his BKB. You know, it's something to kind of be happy about, but that's also where I think if you are 5RAT, I don't think we're going to hit this tier 2. Go to the Roche Pit. Just make sure you have this Aegis. Make this lead almost unlosable at this point. If you already can't kill the Naga Siren, a Naga Siren with 3k HP, give her an Aegis as well, and then suddenly you do have quite a big problem. Not to mention, just finish the Orchid on the Naga as well, so now any hero that doesn't have BKB, and by any, I mean everybody except for the Dawnbreaker will struggle, but they're going in.
This is bold. They just charge their way forward. They're trying to get onto DNM first. He does have the song. Can he get it off, though? No, he can't. They're stunning him up. They take him down. Big first kill. Now they need more. They're going to get Merlin rooted up. Need to be careful of the Firefly damage here. They were sort of standing on top of it, but they are fighting their way through it. Roche went down. Who gets the Aegis? Anyone? Anyone at all? Dodd grabs it. They've got Aegis. Speed just jumped through the whole pit with his onslaught, and he's actually just going to leave. And Ravens...
It's the healing. It's everything. They're not finding the backline. They didn't even use Oracle ult. That was how convincingly that won that team fight. And again, getting stuck in the pit. It's the Rolling Thunder in the Roche pit on top of that Solar Guardian. Well, hey, our Dawnbreaker was 3 and 10, but now she has an Aegis and she's halfway to her Desolator. This game is not over yet by any means. 5RAT did not do that very cleanly, and we are getting into that stage where the game becomes very scary. And again, I think it's just the Wraith Pack doing too much. It's Benjaz, it's the birds, it's just keeping this hero that doesn't build BKB, the Naga Siren's just being subjugated. And yeah, without using that song, I mean, I just feel like they could have gone for a reset. If they get Ravens to commit anything, they can just walk away and then take that fight another day. But now, well, you've got a little bit to play with around. You are eating away at that gold lead as well. You are starting to see that close.
Oh, Mango Flow. Hit by the rock first. Onslaught in. Macropyre drop. Does he have a chance to do anything here? He's going to roll up. Doesn't really have time to channel out the ult, though. He needs backup. His teammates are trying to TP him, but the Pulverize is there first. And Speed is able to make that happen. Not cleanly, but hard to argue with the results.
Yeah, and you get what you want. You're pretty happy, I think.
Jules.
The top.
Okay. He didn't have the arrow. Whoops. Timing's a little bit awkward, but they're still going to get this. Kits, blinks forward, Firefly damage is there. Dodd cannot do anything to help us. Oh, wait. The arrow. It hits from range, and now Kara, he may have to ult his teammate. Yep, there it is. The ult goes down, but that does mean the lasso is free to be deployed. As Kara dies, that also means there's no more healing out from this Dawnbreaker, so the first life is going to be lost. Eventually, there we go. But now they can set up for a second attempt. Is there anyone coming to help? Not really. And Dodd is just going to go down again.
Oh, it's brutal. And almost timed the arrow perfectly, but there, you got the Oracle first. You got that breakdown of Raven's backline, and everybody just wants to die in this game. Nobody wants a clean victory, it feels like, at this rate. But then having that Ice Path for the res, unfortunately, you just can't mash out of it. It's not like Yule's Scepter. With Yule's, you can BKB the second you hit the ground, but with Aegis respawn, you're just not alive to mash, so you just can't do anything about that. Even though he got the BKB off, he does just get the TP home because the lasso was spent. But another awkward fight where, well, even though 5RAT just lost, well, we're back to farming. They get to win, leave kind of the map on a win, which is always so important. And now you look over at DNM, and he's almost got a full Bloodthorn, I think 20 gold, and then he'll be sending it on the Courier. And then that Mage Slayer will actually play a pretty big role in this game. Anybody who gets hit, that's 25% of your spell damage just immediately knocked off. Only one who's pretty much immune to that is Nengo Flow, but the rest of the lineup can really start to see that damage kind of just wean off. And then, again, you've got big issues.
Kind of the, maybe not counter, but the opposing side of that Wraith Pact, right? The damage mitigation that just sort of comes in and just makes it harder and harder for you to actually get in there and kill anybody. So if 5RAT have something that can balance the scales a little bit, then the fights become quite a bit more awkward as Ravens, they jump in onto an illusion there. Didn't use anything big, so still just fine. Still trying to push. How much of a defense are 5RATs willing to put together? It looks like a pretty damn big one. That's a lot of TPs into the song. They're going to ping out Nengo Flow here. Arrow, okay. A little bit off the mark, but actually I was going to say, will it matter? It might, because this fight is getting kind of complicated. BKBs were popped. They're going to try and turn around. They're in onto DNM, hitting them up pretty significantly. Naga Siren dropping low. Soul Assumptions coming in as well for the follow-up. They're just keeping him locked down. No assistance for this Naga. Finally, the Pulverize will come through, and that is going to be the difference maker. DNM may have fallen, but they're able to at least trade him out, ET, but okay, they are just going to be able to clean this one up. I thought for maybe a moment Ravens would try to fight their way through this, but they don't really have much left to work with. Dodge is just trying to make his escape. Is he actually going to get out of here? There's really no path to take. I think he's just trying for the Merlin kill, but he's not going to get it.
Yeah, and well, there you go. That's a 5-man pulverize. Everybody, you felt it. Everybody was just getting stunned. And of course, you pop your BKBs, you gun for the Naga kill, because you have to. If you let him get that song off in too ideal of a position, then instead, you're the ones getting turned on. You're the ones who are getting Ice Path set up with the arrow. But at the same time, then you get to feel the Primal Beast. And Speed just gets to save his BKB. Not necessarily baiting his teammate, but just being as conservative as he can really get away with. But I don't know, with that fight so far away from Raven's base, you don't get to feel 5RAT immediately take the map back over, but at the same time, I don't know how these Dota games keep on happening like this, but we're just barreling towards 40 minutes yet again here in second Roche, and neither team has a tier 2 in sight.
18k net worth lead for 5RAT is a little bit different from what we normally see at this point, but as you say, map control just doesn't really seem to come into focus in a lot of these matches, but Vince looking for something.
Speed.
Dismar blinks, but Speed's living up to his name. He's too fast. Oh, maybe not. There's the BKB. Could just TP out right now, really, and be fine, but he's trying to, I feel like, bait them in. Teammates were nearby, but Ravens aren't going to charge forward like that. They might try and go for this tower, though. That could give, I guess at this point, really either side an opportunity, but that... Okay, that was weird. They smoked up, but now they're just going to hit the tower anyway.
Yeah, and they do have to be a little bit cautious. I think they are almost getting preyed upon here. Merlini's in a crazy spot, and oh, they saw him with the courier, the tree throw. Okay. I mean, that's a huge streak as well to feed over. That's a good chunk of gold heading into Dismar's hands, but interesting stuff. I mean, that was a 2k gold swing, effectively, just off of the courier and the Mirana dying, and well, now they're getting aggressive onto this building and knowing that Speed doesn't have BKB.
Oh, they
Primal
caught the
Beast doesn't
Jakiro.
want to. Yeah, they're feeding a good bit of kills here, and Glyph is going to get forced. Of course, will refresh if they want to stick around for this tier 2, so they will have another one when it comes down to that tier 3, but at the same time, this is all just the punishment of Speed being too far up that bottom lane, because they know that the Primal Beast doesn't want to play without his BKB, so calling back even more net worth.
Just can't quite seem to fully pull away at this point. You take a look at the net worth and experience, we see these little jerks sort of back and forth a little bit. It hasn't come even remotely close to being even again, but you see the slight lapses, right? In 5RAT's play, some minor mistakes here and there that for now are not cause for concern, but as we said 15 minutes ago, right? Every second that Ravens aren't dead is a second that they can get closer to a comeback.
Yeah, and it's where you do start to really believe in this Dawnbreaker carry. It's where you get the level 20 talent. It's where you get the Ag Shard, the Blink Dagger, where you do just start to rail through heroes. And it's where 5RAT, they do not want to play versus that. They want to go right now. Kit says Blink Dagger, he's going to lead. 14 seconds on the Roche respawn as well. And Hex on the bingo.
Okay. Pulverize comes in, but there's going to be the Lotus Orb reflecting some of those spells. It gets him time to go for the Rolling Thunder. They're going to try and turn this. They've already lost Kara, though, but quick buyback gets him into the fight. They're going to lose Dismar as well, though. He'll be buying back, too, and this is getting very dangerous. Speed's getting taken down. First death of the game. And DNM, yeah, he's just got to try and run. Is there any cancel for this? No, there isn't. But Ravens, a couple of buybacks on the supports, sure, but they finally hold their ground in one of these just pitched battles, ET. And the singular kill onto Speed, it pays for everything. Those support buybacks really don't matter, considering how much gold they get.
And look at this again.
Ooh.
It is a 15-second Roche timer. It is about as fast as you can go. And 5RAT might not be ready for this. They have to come back immediately towards that pit. This is Deso plus Visage. They will get the illusions in before the Roche is too dead, but I feel like there's no way they get a body in here. The Jakiro's just not in a position to delay at all. I mean, again, with the early Roches just flipping games on their head, because, well, you don't have to buy the shard off for Dodd. You've got a complete Aegis. You got 1,000 gold after the Primal Beast kill as well. I mean, oh my goodness, this game is so far from over. But the Roshians, man, all week.
Well, now I'm wondering what Dodd's going to do, because his courier died like 2.5 minutes back. That courier did have his shard on it. So I guess he just sells it back now and moves on because he got one for free. But regardless, he's got the shard. He's got, I believe, now a Blink Dagger finished off that should be coming out to him once that courier respawns. So, oh, 5RAT. I mean, it's not their fault, right? They can't control the Roche timer, but just it's bad luck.
Well, it's that, and it's also just Ravens knowing that, well, we're a serious team. We are going to have buybacks on everybody when it can be Roche time. As Dismar breaks the smoke on the Batrider, and yeah, escapes, even though he's walking right in, but
well, he was a fast piggy for a second there, but oh, the arrow doesn't hit. This is getting so broken up. They do get the ensnare, but he's on the high ground. They're just getting dragged further across, but Kits, he wants the lasso. He's going to get it. They've caught out Kara, so he doesn't have the means to save his teammates, but the Solar Guardian coming in, resetting the fight. They're locking heroes down. DNM is starting to take some damage. He has the song. Can he get it off? Does he want to? Yes, he does. They're going to try and regroup, but look at Yenga Flow. He's still in. Oh, okay, now he's going to be put under by the song, but they didn't get far enough away. DNM still getting hit up. Speed, though, coming in, looking for the Pulverize, connecting onto everyone, but there's going to be the ult out from Kara. They didn't finish him off, so he does get the False Promise. But at this point, I don't know if they have anything left. Everyone is on such low HP, and Nengo Flow dies after the ult. Kara down. Dodd and Benjaz are still trying to fight this out, but feels like they're starting to run out of gas. Benjaz is going to try to make it away. Dual Scepter into Arrow, locks him down. They'll finish him off. Dodd, he gets away. I suppose that's a bit of a silver lining, I was going to say, but he's feeling a little greedy. He wants to kill on speed. He gets it, and 5RAT actually backed away. They just assumed speed was going to be okay. So one last kill for Ravens, but count the cost. Looking at the team fight recap here, clearly a win for 5RAT. Not the way they wanted to use Aegis and Dodd. Yeah. Blink, TP, Arrow. No, he gets hit. He thought he was safe. He didn't have BKB. Now he's in trouble. There's the silence in from the Bloodthorn into the ensnare. Just got to be a little more careful than that. That's actually pretty killer, all things considered. He's dead for 80.
Yeah, no, it's not pretty. He does get a full Satanic. He bought out, though, for that Satanic, so it means that there should be no defense for these tier 2s, but yeah, the greed definitely becomes a pretty big punish, but the only reason that fight goes so well for 5RAT is, again, Kit's very successfully finding that Oracle, dragging him into effectively no man's land, being in the middle of all those Naga Siren illusions. There's no way you're getting out at that point, but if 5RAT can continue to play up on these supports, it's where they can really abuse the fact that those buybacks were committed now, and with the Aegis being spent in the fashion that it was, I mean, Ravens are going to start to get bottled up just a little more here. They do pop Glyph as well, which is kind of interesting, meaning that, of course, if they do want to pester these tier 3s, and of course, Naga is very adept at doing so, there's no Glyph. You have to send someone back now.
Meanwhile, AB1 has turned himself into an artillery piece, firing that liquid fire from just miles away. So, no threat whatsoever. He can chip away at the towers a little bit more. To be honest, with DNM there, that's a little bit less relevant, but in terms of a high ground push, all they need to do is get him some vision. He can hit from quite a ways away and just prevent Ravens from really doing anything in response, as they do smoke up, but let's see, where should they go? They're maneuvering their way bot. The problem is 5RAT, well, they're grouped up. I think I'm not sure if they saw this, but they at least suspect it.
Oh, be careful here. They're breaking. On the low ground, it's Kits.
Oh, Dismar. Well, can't really blame him for that thought process. He does reveal himself, but the fight not breaking out just yet. Benjaz, though, look at how far forward he's going. This is a little bit risky. He's going to pop the BKB, though, and Yengo Flow goes in. They're still getting stuck on these illusions, though. They need to hit some real heroes. The Mirana is dangerously low, but here comes the song. DNM locking everyone down.
Watch
Speed.
the Ice Path.
Ice Path and Pulverize both available. There they go, jumping in. Dodd is going to try for the Solar Guardian, but by the time he gets here, well, the other two cores are already dead. This fight is just about done. They get the False Promise onto the Tiny, so maybe he lives a little bit longer, but yeah, once it wears off, he does go down. There was a TP out from Kara, so at least he makes it home, but he is not the priority right now. Dodd, oh, Dodd, you cannot afford to die here, but Kit's coming in with the Flame Break. He's got another charge up. He gets the knock, actually not back, knock forward, but they're still chasing with the Onslaught into the Ice Path. They just refuse to give up. They find that kill, and now they're onto the Oracle as well.
Yeah, and now, well, with the way that they used their glyph before, these tier 3s are just going to die. It will refresh from the racks, but of course, as we've seen, it does not mean you get them off of your racks anymore. It's not nearly as powerful as it was in the previous patch, but man, the setup, it's so easy. The song into the 3-man ice path, it was unfortunate. I think Onslaught was just barely not off cooldown there, so you couldn't get the triple Onslaught on top of the triple ice path, but it doesn't matter. You still kill the Pango. You still used way too many abilities at that first half of the fight. And in doing so, well, this should just be what I think is at least 2 racks, but it is going to be even more considering that there's no Dawnbreaker for 45 seconds here. There's going to be nothing. I think they might just be Megas unless you really want to go for the heroics, but there's the lasso, and you need to be set up here, but you can't. Everybody's still respawning.
And Dismar, no backup coming. They'll take him down. Benjaz, he's sending the familiars in, but it's just not a great situation right now. There's really nothing they can do. They just have to let that third lane be taken. 5RAT, there we go. Okay, now that everybody's actually hitting the racks, it goes down quite a bit faster. So, Megas acquired. They want more, though. They got the Hex onto the Pango. They're going to lock him down. Pulverize is there. Rest of the lineup getting pushed further and further back. And now the lasso coming in as well. Yengo Flow taken down. Benjaz in some trouble. BKB wears off. He is stunned up on the steps of his own fountain, pushed back by the Flame Break. Kara comes in with the false promise to try and help the, well, help out a little bit, as Dodd will respawn, but his damage just isn't high enough, and he didn't BKB first. He's going to get hexed up, in some trouble, getting stun locked, getting taken down. And BKB doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you don't activate it, folks. That's lesson number 1 of a BKB purchase, as now they're just padding the stats, keeping them corralled in their own fountain. All the while, the tier 4s are being taken down.
This is where they're just saying, call it. Call it. We're gonna keep doing this. The creeps are gonna do the hard work, because we're just gonna kill you instead, but... Oh, there's in the fountain. There's the GG, finally. Yeah, it took DNM just fountain camping you for 30 seconds, but... Hey, 5RAT take a game off of the unbeatable Ravens, no longer unbeatable, and it took a little bit here, even with 5RATFORCESTAFF up, what, 13k at 20 minutes? They definitely had their ups and downs. It definitely showed, I think, a few weaknesses of 5RATFORCESTAFF. Just not having that experience of playing with the lead, I think, is what it ended up coming down to. But at the end of the day, you get your victory, 18-57. Nobody has a great KDA on Ravens, but at the end of the day, it also feels like they almost could have done it. It felt like they almost were going to grab hold of this game and then immediately move things in their favor, but that's where it did just become a little bit too much. And hey, looking over at Speed's KDA, I mean, 22, 2, and 19. I don't know. Again, maybe it comes back to that lane just not being the most practiced thing, or perhaps not knowing what Primal Beast can do versus your heroes. I think, again, it comes down to Kara and just maybe not having just one skill point up. I think that just would have been the answer, but you can't harp on it too much. It's a mistake to maybe be solved for a different game. But again, 5RAT, this is a huge victory for them.
Massive. They not only get themselves a win that they kind of needed. I know we're 4 days in, but it's never too early to worry about getting points in these events. So they find the win. They bring Raven's streak to an end. And ET, our 2 questions in the draft was, can Speed justify playing the Primal Beast core? And can they justify the last pick Mirana? You take a look at the stats, and yeah, they can justify that pretty damn well. That was unbelievably better than I think maybe even 5RAT were expecting.
Yeah, and I think getting Merlin into the server, you know, hands up, goodbye, logical, you know, we'll see. He's in a reserve pool, I think, for now, but Merlin's definitely here to play, and I think this was a very good showing of his skills.
Pretty damn impressive in this series, as 5RAT do take the 1-1 split. So Ravens, the win streak is over. However, they still sit 7-1. That's far and away first place for them, but not unbeaten any longer, as you said, ET. We have proven that they are, in fact, mortal men. They can bleed. They can lose a game of Dota, but I don't think they're going to be too broken up. After this one, they're still sitting pretty. So that brings our first series to an end. We're going to be moving on to another one in just a little bit here. It's going to be, I believe, all NA this time around. It is Dogchamp versus Felt coming up next. The first series of this event for that Felt squad. So they're making their Pro Series debut. We are going to have that one coming up pretty fast here only a couple minutes away as the teams are really just hopped up and ready to go. So we'll be stepping aside for just a few minutes, but it will be game one of Dogchamp versus Felt coming up next.